Today, I have the great pleasure of speaking with Corbin Ball as Mr. Technology for our entire industry. For many years, he's been sharing his knowledge, his insights, what he's discovering in terms of technology, most influential person, whole lot of leaders, inductees. We're going to speak about AI, we're going to speak about AR, VR, and we're going to speak about as well the data insight and data analytics. Enjoy listening to Corbin Ball. Welcome to a new episode of the Business of Meeting podcast. And today I have the great honor of speaking with an icon in the industry. He's been named as the most influential person in the top 25, I think for the last 25 years. It's absolutely amazing. He was inducted in the Hall of Leaders in 2018 of the Event Industry Council. He is Mr. Technology, Corbin Ball. Corbin, how are you?
I'm doing well, Eric. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Well, thank you very much for taking the time. I look forward to our conversation, especially with everything that is changing. And we're going to be talking about various topics from AI to VR to the data. But first of all, I'd like to know a little bit more about Corbin Ball. What's your journey and how did you get into technology and helping people in our industry?
My first career was I was right out of college. I became director of educational media for Western Washington University, and so I was in charge of audiovisual, educational television, graphics, and that was a whole immersion in technology right from that start. A few years later, what was a small engineering association moved into town. And they wanted me to help with their events, particularly in the technology side of it. That small engineering association, I worked for them for about 15 years, and during that time, we grew from the small engineering association to running the largest meetings in the world in the area of optics. So I ran international citywide technology meetings around the world doing that. And but in 1997, in fact, the same month that Google started, it became apparent to me that technology was going to change everything. It was going to change the world of events in a profound way. The web had just started coming in, and I thought, I think this is a time for, my daughter was moving away to go to college. I said, this is a time that I could travel more, and I decided to form my own business as a speaker, consultant, and writer, focusing specifically on event technology. It's the first person to do that, and it's been a really fun ride ever since.
And you've had the longest, let me get that right. You have the longest running event technology website, right?
That's correct. Yes. That was started just shortly after I formed my own business.
Which is?
Corbin Ball and Company.
That's it.
And the website's corbinball.com. So it makes it easy.
Exactly. No, I remember and the first time I met you and the presentation you're doing, it's what I like, and as I'm looking forward as well today in our conversation, is that you really have an art of explaining what I would consider complicated things in a manner that I understand. And I'm always the best benchmark. If I understand, anybody can understand. So thank you for that.
It's my pleasure. It's been fun. It's been a fun ride to assist event planners and event professionals in general to understand technology in a way that they can improve their business process.
And how many days per year now are you traveling to speak about technology?
Well, zero this last. I'm getting on my first business meeting this next week to go to first business flight to go to Las Vegas for MPI. But it's typically I would do 30 to 40 presentations a year. I'd do at least 40. Round trip destinations every year. So I was on the road almost every other week or every week, and so it was quite a shock when the pandemic hit. That no travel for a long time, no business flights at least for a long time. So it was is an adjustment, but it was actually, there were several linings as well.
And what were the silver linings for you?
Well, one of the things it taught me to slow down and then smell the roses and enjoy life where I am. And instead of going on a flight, my wife and I this last year, we did road trips to the national parks in Oregon and Washington State, where I live. And I hadn't been to these national parks in years, and we had a beautiful time on the Oregon coast and in Mount Rainier and Crater Lake and different areas. And so it was just a nice way to realize that that you can change your business model, and you can and slow down and enjoy things more. So it taught me a lot in terms of doing that.
That's awesome. And I know as well, I've heard this before from other people, as well as the fact that they can spend more time with family, and so that's going to be changing. And I'd like to dig into that. What really changed in terms of technology during the pandemic, and what is the impact that is going to have on the way we run events, we plan events, and the way we run our lives, actually?
I think this with the forced change, and one of the things that happened, just the explosion of innovation, particularly in the area of virtual meetings. But in fact, I've never seen anything like it. I've been watching it full time for 24 years, and I've never seen as great of an amount of innovation as has happened in the last 14 months. It's virtual meetings have changed more during this time than they have in the past decade, and even more than that. And I think it will fundamentally, that move to virtual meetings, and this year I think will be the year of hybrid event technology innovation, because we are starting to get going back into face-to-face events, and that's going to be a key part of it. All the best practices we've learned from that will, I think, forever change the face-to-face, the face of in-person events. It is virtual will remain a significant component for many events. There are many benefits that have been discovered, during this forced change that has happened. There's, the ability for much better metrics, the ability for a larger global reach. And in fact, sometimes the events are 30, 40 times larger than the face-to-face events that they were forced to change in this past year. And it's just environmentally friendly, sustainable events. A virtual event is, you're not flying around, but for a hybrid event, you can bring in a lot more people as well. So I think that these changes we're going to see. And then also the major change, one of the major changes is just the societal change, the forced digitization of our business processes. When we have remote learning, where remote medicine is picked up, online ordering of groceries and takeout food and all of this stuff. Many people from all ages have been zooming in out of events, and have learned how to video conference and learned how to get things in line for that. And the best practices that have been learned, it has been really a profound change in society, and that will continue. That forced increased digitization of how we do business is going to be one of those long-lasting legacies of the pandemic.
Do you think it's going to have a tremendous impact as well on the way people sell?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I mean, I think that it's been, how things are being marketed, how events will be marketed, I think will be really quite different. There's been a lot of talk about, instead of this one event here, that you establish our year-round community, and that you market to them. Events are part of that marketing campaign, but it's going to be much broader, and it's going to be using artificial intelligence. It's going to be doing things in a lot different way, and I think it will affect how people sell things. I mean, just the fact that instead of flying across the country for a 4-hour business meeting, and that there are places that virtual meetings can really do the job in a much more efficient way. So just from that basic point alone.
Yeah, I totally agree with that, and with a little caveat. And recently, I had the opportunity to make a presentation, sales presentation. We were bidding for a project after an RFP and everything, and I actually decided to fly over there with the rest of the team online. And for 3 hours, I could actually observe the reaction of people, what they were interested in, and that is something that for me would have never been possible online. With the greatest technology, it's impossible for me to do that. So I would say I totally get what you're saying about, the 4 hours meeting, but when it comes to selling and personal relationship, that is something that I have some challenges to understand that it could be ever replaced by technology.
I agree with you that nothing replaces that face-to-face communication, that face-to-face interaction, the relationship building, and that's a key part of selling. I think that there are times when it could be very acceptable. For example, if you're running through a lot of job interviews, instead of having people come in and doing that, if from flying around from different parts of the country or even from their own city, it might be at least for those initial job interviews, or for answering questions, for helping them. Just a lot of business communication, I think, can be done.
Yeah.
But certainly the downside, the criticism that has happened with the virtual meetings is it's particularly with the exhibitions, is that the exhibitors had a very low net promoter scores because they were not able to make the same connections that they do in a face-to-face event.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
so I think that there's a real place for that, but I think that the piece of the meeting pie that is virtual is going to be substantially larger than it has been in the past.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And it's fascinating to me as well to see how quickly people can adapt to technology. Especially, it takes Zoom, for instance, when you started using it in an extensive way at the beginning of the pandemic. I think that the two words are the two buzzwords of the year were you're on mute. Really, the first one?
Unmute, yes.
Unmute. And the second one was, can you see my screen?
That's true. But we've learned that, in society, and everyone from, grade school kids to grandparents, we've been Zooming in and out of events. And we've learned, we've picked it up, and we've got our light rings, some of us, and we've set things up to, have that as a capability. Yeah. It's really emphasized the need for nationwide broadband as well, I think, because it's just that's been the disparity between people that are rich and poor. This has really heightened those disparities there, that if you're unable to have broadband, or if you're you can't participate in this big advance that's happening.
Totally. Absolutely. And in terms of adapting to new technology, and I remember when I had my corporate event company back then in Belgium in the 90s. I think I was the first one with that, small business size company to use Citrix at that time in Belgium. It's only big companies were using it. And it was phenomenal because I could be anywhere, connect and work, which now you do with your phone from anywhere. So I'm very excited with the new development that technology allows. And I'm also very excited by AI. You were talking about medicine when you see doctors that just dermatologists that can take a picture and put it in the AI and telling you if you have a chance of cancer or not, or what it is. It's just great. Now, I know you're a big fan as well of AI, and you have a particular take on how it is going to impact meetings and events. So if you have any example, I'd love to hear it.
Oh, sure. I have a few of them, actually. I think AI is going to be one of those Uber trends that are at the end of a decade, you're going to look back and say this technology has had such profound effect on society in general, and other over trends in the 80s, the PC, with the advent of the PC in the 90s, is really the adoption and use of the internet and email. The aughts were the advance of web technology. It had been developed before that, but it really was embraced in that decade. And then this past decade was mobile technology. And this decade, we're going to look back and say, what was the hugest, the biggest impact in terms of technology? And I believe it's going to be artificial intelligence. It's going to change everything. And it has many applications for events. One common one that a lot of people are doing is just in speech recognition. I mean, I have 4 Alexas around my house, and I use it all the time, from everything to turn on lights and the thermostat and streaming and reminders and everything with that. But that is coming to events as well. The winner of the 2019 IBTM Technology Watch Award, given in November of 2019, was Worldly.ai. And that is, there are other companies that are doing that, but that translates voice into both audio and text in 16 different languages,
including my accent,
even accents, and it does it it does it in a quite high accuracy as well. And that's the thing. And it's they're designed specifically for events. And I've spoken at a lot of international events, and you have translators in the back, and you have these for every language. You have a booth and a translator in there, and you hand out the devices that people wear, and it's the United Nations, only it's built within a meeting room with that, and it's a costly system to do, and hiring people and so forth. This is going to cut that to a very small fraction of that cost and make it much more. It was developed really specifically for face-to-face events. But also now that we have been doing so much video and with virtual events, that can be done for that as well. And it is going to be really open up the translation interpretation to a much broader audience at a much lower cost. Other examples, and kind of simple ones, Google Meet has what's called a denoiser. So instead of anything that the artificial intelligence recognizes not a voice, clicks, keystroke clicks, or chair squeaks, or other sounds can reduce that one. The WebEx virtual assistants is another one with automated transcripts, and you can ask it to follow up in action items and highlight the most important decisions. It does that all automatically. So that's one area of speech recognition, and then the chat bots and those things are that can be helpful for events as well. But also in the area of biometrics, and the Zenus is one of the Zenus.ai, Zenus.ai. Does facial recognition for registration. And it's now masks are going to slow things down a little bit with that. But as we come back and we drop the mask mandate with that, then does it very accurately, very quickly, and securely. And for example, it can be used for access control as well as just for registration. Anybody can go up and say, "Hey, I'm Joe Blow," and then you can pull out your ID. But that all takes that done. It takes care of that. But also and there are other companies that are doing that, or Zenus is leasing out their technology to other companies as well. But also there's the area of anonymous facial analytics as well. That Zenus is doing that. TrackMini.com is another one that is doing this, and that they can measure gender, age, estimated age, sex. I've said that gender with that. Their how interested people are, their emotions that they're going through. One of the ones that Zenus does, they have a camera that you can put in the front of the room facing the audience. They can count how many people are there and give a breakdown of the age and gender of that. But also, are they paying attention? What points during the event do the people really light up? What points did the speaker lose them? It's helpful for the speaker, but it's helpful for the meeting planner as well with that. TrackMini uses an iPhone essentially, or with this, it's attached connected with the cloud that's placed in the exhibit booth, and it can measure, how many people and the age and gender, those type of things, but dwell time, repeat customers, where are they looking with this? And that's all. It's a simple application that has some very significant information in the anonymous one. And other areas of biometrics that I will see as well. For example, Amazon One is a non-contact palm scan, and so that you can go into the Amazon stores in Seattle, for example. There's a grocery store, then you go in, you scan on the way in, you load the basket, it automatically scans, and you scan on the way out, and it's no payment. It's all done automatically. It scans everything in your basket instantly. And I think those type of things. And then, of course, we're going to be seeing these for travel, for hotel check-ins. I think we're going to see this more and more of these type of things. So,
before COVID, I was already checking. I believe it was with Lufthansa, Miami Airport. I was just checking with the biometrics with my eyes.
It's going to be with
the face.
Facial recognition as well. And then that's that also happens. Their technology. So just that contactless part of it, we've learned that, and that's been pushed forward as well. There's matchmaking. There are companies, grip.events or Brella.io are examples of them that have been using, based on the algorithm that people register for an event, they express their interest, or they sign up for particular events. Their title, they may put their LinkedIn profile. All these data points can be used to help that individual in finding good matches for them. And these are the exhibitors that you should see, or these are the sessions that may be of particular interest for you, or these are the individuals that closely match your interest area. And you should, and through the system, you can, it's oftentimes through a mobile event app, then that you can set up an appointment with them during the event. And so I think that's an area that has great growth potential as well. And just another one that I particularly like is the winner of last year's IBTM Tech Watch is Clipper.ai, CLIPR.ai. And it's video recap software. It's designed specifically for events, but what it does, it will you upload the videos, and we're using so much video during events, but during video events, virtual events as well, is that it will, you upload the video and it will create a transcript of it, a searchable transcript, and it will highlight the points. And so every word that's said can be searched on with that, but it goes more than that. It highlights the key points throughout the presentation. Say an hour presentation, they have 5 main points. If you want to just search in on that one main point here, you can get a video recap of that. And so it saves lots of time. It's a trend that we're moving more and more toward video, and I think it has great applications for events, and particularly virtual meetings as well, but for face-to-face ones as well. So these are just some of the examples at how artificial intelligence, and they're everything from farming to pharmacology. Every vertical market is going to be affected by artificial intelligence as well.
That's phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And we finally getting to the real individual or customization of your experience at a conference based on what you like, and that's fascinating, absolutely fascinating. And what about then augmented reality or virtual reality? I remember a few years ago, we were talking about the hologram. Corbin is speaking in Tokyo, but he's being live in Las Vegas. What is AR and VR doing, and what should we be expecting for the experience at conferences?
Sure, it's alive and well, and there are different applications for virtual reality. It's you put on goggles and it's immersive. It takes you someplace else.
Yeah.
Now, at a lot of events, that's not particularly what you want to do. I mean, you want to be with other people with this, but there are some applications. Virtual site inspections is a perfect example of using as a elaborate equipment demos. If you want to take somebody inside a nuclear reactor, for example, you can do that with VR. It's not nearly as easy to do that, or inside an internal combustion engine or whatever. With this, and the challenge with that on the exhibit floor, though, is that it's fairly slow. You have to sanitize the unit. You have to teach them how to use it, how to navigate, and then that takes. And so you can't get loads of people through. But for high-end clients that say, I really want to show you something, let's go back in this area and let me show you this particular demo. It can be very, very impressive with that. Also for virtual booth and stage set design, before you put a hammer to nail to put this together, to see exactly what it's like, you could walk through and do that, is I think a particularly helpful tool with that. And also VR room diagramming. Allseed has been one of the companies that have pioneered that, but they are Freeman's been doing some different things in that space as well. But it's that you can, it's particularly great for sales, for hotel sales, but for event planners as well. We are selling a dream. We are selling something that hasn't happened yet. And if you can visualize that in exquisite detail and move around within that space as you plan for it to set, or see that stage set exactly the way you want it before you actually are there, that can be really helpful. And so those are the benefits of virtual reality. And the glasses, the Oculus Rift is about $200 nowadays, and there are ones that are much more capable with eye tracking and different things, and that stuff is coming to a lower price range as well. But you can have a very good experience with VR using these kind of not that expensive technologies. Mm-hmm. Now, augmented reality and its cousin, mixed reality, which is it's augmented reality, but it's placing objects within the scene that you're with the view that you're seeing. You're layering on additional information, but with mixed reality, you're layering on a person, or Pokemon is kind of the classic example of that. Layering on a character within the scene that you're seeing, and you're interacting with it in that space. There are some real benefits and some disadvantages as well. Now, one of the things using a headset type of VR, you can have group experiences. And so I was at the Consumer Electronics Show in 2019 and went to the Intel booth and put on HoloLens, a set of HoloLens with a bunch of other people standing around this car looking at the internal electrical parts of it and how it connected to the cloud and different components and how the information ran through it, is a very effective type of a display. But one of the challenges right now with that type of augmented reality is that the headsets are quite expensive. I mean, they're about $3,500 each, and so it's never going to be consumer oriented at that rate. For exhibitors, yes, but for consumer use of it, it's just too expensive with that, unless you're very well funded with that. Using AR on a mobile device or a tablet, phone or a tablet is well established technology, and so that's been around for well more than a decade with this, and the quality of the technology just in the recent upgrades of the iPhone and Android, that's gotten much better, much easier to use, and so that's going to be a natural way of doing it. I think in the future that the future is going to be going with normal looking glasses, not Google Glass, just a normal looking glass that will have augmented reality components of it. And Consumer Electronics Show as an example, really? Where they're pretty normal looking and they're going to become better and better. Apple has been, talking, there have been rumors about the Apple glasses with that, that's going to probably be coming out this year, and that might be one of those game changers as well. That you can, it's applications for events would be wayfinding, how you get through an exhibit hall most effectively. But there are a lot of other, you can find out more information. You're walking by a particular a meeting room, for example, and you could be able to see, a short video of the speaker or a bio or more information, or request information just by interacting with glasses. So there'd be a lot of different applications.
Wow, that's what, I mean, it's like Minority Report.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. That's the type of stuff that we're talking about. And the interesting thing about Minority Report is that it was, that's the 20-year-old film, but they consulted with a lot of futurists during that time, and a lot of parts of it were not, but parts of what you're seeing, advertising and augmented reality and these different things, there's a quite prescient in their estimates of what things are going on. Right. Also, I think, you're talking about the HoloLens, and that's an example. Not HoloLens, but the telepresence of projecting people, a holography to project people into.
That's what I used to use that 20 years ago when I was training as a Jedi. No, I'm kidding.
That technology has been around for some time, and museum.com is one of the pioneers. And if you go to the Michael Jackson Cirque du Soleil show in Las Vegas, you see him dancing there on the stage.
I remember, yes, absolutely.
And so that is what museum does. And but I have seen this. I was speaking in London a couple of years ago, and I had a chance to see this up close. And what they did is that they had a BBC broadcaster, and she had an interview with herself, and one was brought in by Museum, and then she was standing on stage, and I was standing 30 feet away, and the lighting is very bright with that, and it looks a little normal, but a little weird with that, but I had a hard time distinguishing which one was live and which one was being in. It was so good. The quality was so good in that situation. The challenge is that you had to be very careful about it's high-end projection technology. It uses more than a decade old or a century old technology. It's Pepper's Ghost, the same that's used in the haunted house in Disneyland with that is that, and so you have to set up the stage so it has to be very well shaded. The area needs to be black behind it, but if you can do that, so it's a little expensive with this, but it can be very effective for bringing people on stage in a way that looks like they're really there.
Wow.
Another example of augmented reality that normal people don't usually include in it, but is a case of that is an area of projection mapping. And so that you can convert a side of a building to be animated, or a stage set where people are interacting with stuff that's not there. You're layering on a digital experience on top of what people are seeing there.
Actually, I've seen that, I want to say at least 10, probably 15 years ago. I remember one of the thing was the Nespresso building in Brussels.
Yeah,
it was all over YouTube. That they actually you had the impression that the building was falling down and then reconstructed and moving, and that was really surprising.
It's very, and in the benefit that's happened right now is that technology, the projectors have gotten much less expensive, much brighter, much higher resolution, and the technology to do that has gotten so much easier now that you can start seeing these. And I think you'll see that more in the future quite a bit, awesome. Because it has a lot of wow factor with that, but it's easier to do than it has been. But it does take creative. There's a whole creative part of that does that. But the technology to do it is easier and less expensive as well.
That's awesome. Now, Corbin, I could listen to you for hours. It's amazing. As I said at the beginning, every time I'm listening to you, I'm learning something. And again, today you proved that. So thank you for that. Can we maybe, before we end this conversation, speak a little bit about data integration and analytics? Because I've been hearing this for years and years. You have to obviously know how to collect your data, but how to use it and how to analyze it. And when you think about business owners in our industry, the amount of things that they should be able to do, from running a project to integrating technology to managing the finance and managing multicultural team and so on and so forth. So, what is it that somebody can do, and how they should look at data integration and data analytics for their events?
It's a key thing. In fact, this past year, with the explosion of one of the big benefits of a virtual meetings is that there is every click is trackable. And so that you can determine, with every attendee that's come to your virtual event, that you can get rich data about, the sessions they attended, their comments they made, the likes that they did, their survey response, the poll responses, what the information that they've downloaded. And the same thing can apply to face-to-face events. It's a little harder, but there are technologies that have beacon technologies that can track where people are going and how, there's a lot of ways that you can do that. But what's happened is, and people have really realized, that automatically many of these systems will give you data and analytics about that, and people are recognizing that. And the one bright side in the virtual meetings component of we've had for exhibitors is the data, is that they can really see who's coming. It doesn't replace face-to-face, but there's certainly a big part of that data is in data analytics. Requires, and they typically do three things. First of all, you have to integrate your different data sources with that, and this is becoming easier with APIs. And there's been such a move. This move toward digitization has happened during the last 14 months. Is really pushing this forward as well. Is that people, the different technology used need to talk to each other, and so you need to be able to integrate that using these type of technologies. Then from that, you used artificial intelligence to analyze that, to be able to see insights. Humans are not good at looking at pages of numbers. We don't see the insights that can be done in an easy manner. And so you have to use that analysis for that, predictive analytics, and with that, and then you visualize it, so you need to make it so it can be accessible to humans. And that's by making it in terms of graphs, in terms of, how you charts and so forth to make that more accessible. There are companies that are doing this, and a few of them that have been around for a few years, VivaStream and Bear Analytics, can help you in that process. But many of the event registration companies have, Cvent and Eventry and Events Air have all really built out their data analytics capabilities as well. And so the key point, I think, is that the reason why you want to do that, the reason why you want to integrate and put these all in one spot, so you can, is that first of all, you're getting a lot of this important information from different areas with that, from different, from your mobile event app, from the registration website, from is that you want to get it in one source so that you can then bring that back into your Salesforce or your sales automation tools, Marketo or those ones, to be able to better serve that individual in the future, better market to them, but really provide with them what they want, what they're interested in. And so it's it helps the seller provide more information to the buyer in a way that's more targeted, personalized to their particular interests.
And I can clearly see an explosion of new profession in our industry.
Well, I think so. I think that's already just, a data analyst is a real, becomes a very important part of the whole process, I think. And on the good news is that it's getting easier all the time. And that's where artificial intelligence comes in, is that then that can make that process easier. And it's going to be used more and more into the future.
Awesome. Corbin, thank you so much for your time. Thank you so much for sharing your knowledge with me. It's fascinating conversation. I'm sure that all listeners have learned many things listening to you today. And I look forward to not seeing your hologram or an augmented reality of your version, but you live in Las Vegas for a MPI World Education Conference.
Looking forward to it, Eric. Thanks for the time.
Thank you.
Okay, take care.
Thank you, Corbin, for sharing all your knowledge. A lot of information. Truly enjoy speaking with you, and as usual, listening to all the new insights you're sharing. Absolutely fascinating what we will be doing with meetings and events and artificial intelligence, augmented reality, virtual reality, and also measuring and getting all the data. If you want to connect with me, please reach out on LinkedIn and join my Facebook group on www.eventbusinessformula.com/group, when we share all the information for the business owners in the meetings and event industry. Thank you.